This video is to demonstrate multi-raw processing using a single image that is adjusted 3 separate times in Adobe Camera Raw. Mask will then be applied to reveal only the needed elements from each layer. Each layer has a different exposure and adjustment setting, which can then help to extend the tonal range of the final image. Right now we're looking at Adobe Camera Raw, and this is a right out of camera image that I'm going to bring into Photoshop as it is. Normally I don't bring an out of camera image, a layer like this in, but I wanted there for demonstration purposes only. I'm going to bring it in as a smart layer, so I'm going to click the Shift key while clicking open. You can see open changes to open object. Bang. However, it's coming as a small version, so I'm going to do View, Fit on Screen, and it's bigger. There we go. Now, what I want to do is label this first version Raw, no adjustments, out of camera. And you can see that this is a smart object because of the little smart object symbol in the bottom right of your image there, your image icon or whatever it is. So what I need to do is duplicate this layer multiple times. So I'm going to click on the gray area. Make sure you're on the gray and not on the white or the image, because if you're on the image, you're not getting the right flyout menu. Be on the gray, and there you go. New Smart Object via Copy. New Smart Object via Copy. Select that. Now I'm going to relabel this foreground. Then I'm going to double click it. It's a smart object to go back into Adobe Camera Raw. So here we are. We're back in Adobe Camera Raw again, and I'm going to make adjustments now that are suitable to the foreground of my image. I'm going to start off by selecting Auto because, hey, look at that. It usually does a pretty good job. I'm going to make some additional adjustments. Texture will be 15, clarity will be 6, dehaze will be 7, and saturation will be 25. I'm then going to go down to color mixture, and the greens and yellows will be 20. Going through this quickly because it doesn't really matter much what the options are. I'm going to select OK to go back into Photoshop and retain the smart layer. And there we are. We've now got the raw layer and the foreground made with the Adobe Camera Raw adjustments, but I need another layer now. So I'm going to again right mouse click in the gray area, New Smart Object via Copy. I'm going to relabel that to Castle, and then I'm going to double click to go back into Adobe Camera Raw again, and I'm going to continue now to make adjustments that are more suitable to the Castle layer, and those are going to be bumping up the exposure to 80, and my blacks are going to go to 0. My texture I'm going to bump to 100 because I really want to try and bring out what I can out of the castle, and saturation is going to be 45, and that's it. I'm going to click OK, go back into Adobe Camera Raw. There you are. Oh, lo and behold, I need another layer. So again, click on the gray, Smart Object via Layer, change this to Sky. Done. Now I'm going to go back into Adobe Camera Raw again, and I'm going to make the adjustments necessary to the sky. Now these adjustments are going to be a little more bold, so I'm going to go down to 75 on my exposure. My contrast will be 0. My highlights will be minus 100. My blacks will be minus 20. And my texture will be 0. Clarity will be 0, and saturation will be minus 15. Then I'm going to go down to the color mixture section. Yellows and greens will be returned to 0, and aqua will be minus 100, and blues will be minus 100. So now you can see already that's made the sky pretty foreboding looking. So that's it. Not going to do anything else. We're going to bring that back into Photoshop again. Now what we're going to need to do is apply some layer masks. The purpose of the layer mask is to reveal or hide some of the layer the mask is applied to. We will add a mask to the castle layer to reveal the texture and saturation adjustments made in Adobe Camera Raw while concealing the foreground and the sky. And then we're going to add a mask to the sky layer to reveal the dark and foreboding sky adjustments while concealing the foreground and the castle. So I'm going to go to my castle and I'm going to apply my layer, and I'm going to hit Shift F5 to fill it with black. And then I'm going to go to the sky layer. I'm going to do the same, and Shift F5, fill it with black. So we want to work on our castle layer. So I'm activating the castle layer. And before I can start painting with the painting on the mask, I need to make sure that I'm selected my brush, and my opacity needs to be 100, my flow is 100, and white is selected as my foreground color. I'm also just going to check that my brush, yep, the hardness is set to 0, so that's fine. So on the castle layer, I'm going to paint to reveal the castle adjustments. So I've got a fairly good sized brush. I'll make it a little bit bigger, just to go in there real quick, and lo and behold, look at that. Look at what it's done. Not bad. I can make my brush a lot smaller, go in, do a little more tidy. This is real rough, guys. I mean, this isn't perfect. So now I'm going to adjust my opacity, and I'm going to go down and just bring out some of the rock texture and brightness. So you can see now on my mask what's being revealed. I'll disable the mask, everything comes through, enable the mask, and only the castle and the rock brightening is showing up. Now I need to go to the sky layer. I'm going to activate the sky layer, click on the mask, and I am then going to go and select my quick selection wand and start selecting the sky area. And wow, look at that. Did a pretty good job, but it hasn't shown up on my mask. So I'm going to go select and mask, and I'm going to output to layer mask. Select OK, and lo and behold, there we have it applied. Not bad. Pretty quick and dirty. I'm not saying it's great. Obviously, if this was, a real image for some, you do a much more careful job. I'm going to turn off all the masks there, and we're just going to go through it slowly. So this is our raw adjustment layer that I have here for demonstration purposes. We then brought in a foreground layer, which we adjusted in Adobe Camera Raw. And you can see that there, the adjustments that it's made. Then we have brought in the castle layer back to Adobe Camera Raw, and we made adjustments in Adobe Camera Raw, bringing out the texture in the castle and the rocks. And then I applied a mask that allowed that to show through while covering up the sky area. Now we're going to show the sky, and there you go. You can see the sky. We're going to enable the mask, and wow, that's not bad. I think that's pretty good. So if there were no further adjustments, if you're happy and everything's fine, then I recommend that you stamp the layer, and then you might want to continue making further adjustments to this image on the stamped layer. Once you've completed the stamped layer, then or completed any further adjustments here, then I would recommend that you save this color version, because you may want to go back later and change your color version of this file for editing purposes. Go back to Adobe Camera Raw, make different adjustments, and redo this file and start over. And saving it this way will help you make those adjustments without having to start from scratch. So I would now save this file. I'm going to say save, and it's saving on my other screen, which is why you're not saving it, or seeing it rather. And then assuming you're going to start making your black and white adjustments now, then I would save this file again, File, Save As, change the file name to have some sort of black and white identifier in it. Again, it's saving off screen, you can't see it, but you can see that I put a little black and white identifier in the file name up here. You see this up here in the corner? So now I could flatten this and start again. I would save it because I've already labeled it for black and white. Now go into Nik or Topaz or whatever it is you want to do and continue with those further edits. So just remember, keep your image in color and do as many of your edits and adjustments as possible to your color version before converting it to black and white. Once you've converted it to black and white, some of the data is lost. This technique can be done the way we did it with 3 layers, it can be done with 2 layers, 5 layers, 10 layers. It can be done using different files. So we used one image file, brought it into Adobe Camera Raw, and did different exposure adjustments. We could use entirely separate adjustments or files the way we would have for, say, bracketed images that we took in our camera. So a lot of different ways you can use this technique, and Harold Davis in his book talks about several of them. There are kind of all different versions of the same technique. So there you have multi-raw processing in Adobe Camera Raw. Enjoy.